Hi everyone, Teresa Aker here from Success Diaries with Teresa Aker. It's my pleasure to introduce you to Bob Choat today. How you doing, Bob?
I'm doing fantastic. And how are you doing today, Teresa?
You know what? I'm so glad you're here, Bob, and you have so much to share with us. Now, Bob, I'm just going to tell everyone, is the founder of Modern Lyceum Academy, and you're going to tell us all about that, Bob, today to help our viewers, okay? So let's start at the beginning, what this is about, where you got started and where we are now.
Yeah, one of the things, like with me, I'm a student of many areas. I read a lot. In fact, I have a personal library of physical books of nearly 13,000 books.
Wow,
So
I
I
thought
have
mine was
books
big.
on philosophy, psychology, neuroscience, history, and many other areas. Martial arts, that's like my foundation. Been doing that since I was 18 months old and still engaged in the martial arts. Well, I've been looking at the self-help industry. Have a lot of friends who are former presidents of the National Speakers Association and so forth. And I noticed there was an issue. And the issue is that it was about seeking the external stuff, how much more money you can have, the titles you can have, all these other kind of things. And that's what's being floated around, being
Yes.
taught. And there was a lot of misinformation within that industry. There are some good stuff. There's some good tips and everything like that's been really helpful, especially some things on habits and so forth. But what was missing was personal growth. And I started reading and going back, and I remembered Aristotle. And in his book, Nicomachean Ethics, he talks specifically about that. And when we talk about success, again, we look at all these things we can have externally, and people are chasing that kind of stuff, thinking that's what happiness is about. Aristotle talked about flourishing as personal growth, as growing. How do we flourish in life? That comes from inside. So the distinction is hedonism, which the external stuff, and eudaimonia, which is internal. And seeking the external will never get us to happiness. It's not about chasing happiness, it's about what's inside. What kind of growth? And he even divides it up even further. So how do we live a well-lived life? And he talks about virtues. Now there's different kind of virtues, and he explains this concept called the golden mean. So the golden mean, which is if you think about a balance from one extreme to the other, the golden mean is right in the center. So we think about courage. And I see a lack of courage in society today. And you can look at courage as like absolute recklessness on not courage, but on one side, or absolute like cowardice, not even doing anything. But courage is right there in the center. And courage is the virtue that gives action to all other virtues, including wisdom. Now, Aristotle talked about we need wisdom, and wisdom is divided up into two areas. And this is even expanding on personal growth. He talked about intellectual wisdom, which is the wisdom, like with my reading of my books and everything like that, it's that knowledge that I get. Then he talks about practical wisdom. The word for the intellectual wisdom is called Sophia, and then practical wisdom is called phronesis with PHR. And so with phronesis, this is taking our knowledge and putting it into action. And we do it every day and helping to make the world a better place. Because I think that's important as well in terms of doing all these different things. But it's something that I just don't see in today's world. I mentioned courage. And I see, where was it? I have a book somewhere around here. Oh, right over here. I have two copies of this book. So this is copy. This is the memorial copy. I actually have a first edition of Profiles in Courage by John F. Kennedy. He wrote it when he was then a U.S. Senator back in the 50s. And the Memorial Edition came out in December of 1963, just a month or less than a month after he passed away. And he talks about these leaders that had stepped outside, even in terms of their own life, even facing defeat, whether as a politician or otherwise, because they stepped forward. They challenged the norms. They did the right thing when it was necessary,
Right.
whether it was justice and justice as a virtue, whether in Stoicism or with Aristotle and others. So justice is one of the virtues, is about doing the right thing. Today, we talk about justice in terms of the criminal justice system and everything like that. But justice itself is doing the right thing. Justice is doing the right thing. And I think it's something that we lost the understanding of that virtue. I see we're living a less virtuous world today, and especially a lot of the stuff that's happening down here in the United States and so forth. And I just wish, and I don't want to get into politics, but I'm going to get into society in general. Step up, have that courage, have the courage to be able to flourish in your own terms. I talk to a lot of younger people, especially in their 20s, and I tell them to experiment in your 20s, to do those kind of things, because you're not going to be able to flourish later in life if you don't like have the courage to do those things, to take more risks when you're younger, because it gets to be harder when you're older. And I've seen it. Yeah, I still take risks and I do parkour. I've been doing parkour. And if you don't know what that is, if you look at young people going over obstacles off of buildings and everything like that. Yeah, so I do that. And then April 2013, I don't think it was courage, but I was doing what's called a precision jump. I was standing on top of a rail and I was jumping to the top of another rail, which is about 6 feet away,
Oh, wow.
but I wasn't focused. I was talking to my best friend to demonstrate, and I caught my right foot trailing, hit the end of the rail, went over the rail, did a face plant in the concrete. So I kind of messed up my face.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I I still take risks even at my age and still do a lot of stuff. But I learned that if I'm going to flourish in life, I'm not going to allow anything to hold me back. Yes, I have to make adjustments because of my age, but here's a big but. Always stay curious. Always challenge yourself. Do it in your 20s, keep doing it, and stay curious your whole life. That's allowed me to continue to flourish and to learn. Going back to school, learning new things, getting another high level degree, but also continuing to learn, even adapt to the new technologies now. That's
Yeah.
allowed me to understand and to flourish. So I don't have the fear of the new technologies, because when you learn to understand that which you fear, then you're going to be able to take control of it. I know a lot of people talking about the fear of artificial intelligence and everything like that, and all this new machine learning technology. I've been doing this technology kind of stuff going back to my high school days. When I was in my last semester in high school, I was going to University of Southern California every Saturday to study computer programming language called Fortran 4, programming big IBM 360
Yep.
computers.
Yep.
And so I was learning that. And that was before I decided to go in the Marine Corps. I had signed over 17 years old going into Marines. And I embraced technology because I understood that if I grasp that technology, understand that technology, I can control it. I'm not going to allow it to control me. Same thing was happening today. People are being controlled by social media. People being controlled all these different things that they don't understand. And it's guiding their lives. It's
I think
guiding their
Bob, if I might, because we talked just before the show about Chat GTP and how to properly use it. And
Correct.
I'm with you on a lot of things. And I just wanted to stop for a second there because you have some very extremely valid points that I want to make sure we bring forward to people. One, the AI issue. Now, yes, you talked about the 20-year-olds, but I would also argue that at our age, and when I say our, I say that loosely because our ages are similar, but we have people that are, I actually do a show over 50 people learning the technology and things that they need to learn in this day and age. Now, I want to stress, you are 100% correct. We must adjust with the times and not to be afraid of AI because that is what it is. We had our industrial revolution, it's done. We now have a technical revolution, and it's imperative that everyone understand it and not be afraid because actually it has some amazing benefits. And if you learn that, you're going to flourish so well,
Correct.
including health. When we have doctors today, we're going to have technology that's going to save lives. We have Chat GTP that a lot of people are using, like they use Google, and that's not the way to use it. Use
Correct.
it with specific questions so that you can bring it forward and help your knowledge and increase your knowledge. So I just wanted to say kudos to you, Bob, because you're never ending helping people with a mindset and keeping them positive. And that's what I'm trying to do with this show, is to bring people like you that can help the viewers. So I just wanted to stress that with you. Thank you for
Abs
your mindset.
you're welcome. And I'm glad you mentioned Chat GPT
Yeah.
and others similar, whether Gemini AI or
Yes.
any of these other
Even
AI.
Meta, Facebook will do the same thing.
Correct. And you mentioned to be specific. That's very important. In fact, the way prompt engineering works today versus you go back even a year ago or even 6 months ago, it's changed. You have to get more detail oriented in terms of creating a prompt. And so, for example, I used it recently in terms of with myself, health diagnosis and everything like that. And
Yeah.
I shared it with the doctor as well. And so I created the prompt, act as a medical diagnostician and expert. And then I gave it a few more things to evaluate any input that I have and it asked me questions as well. So went through this details and it did it, and it was pretty accurate. And then I shared it with the doctors and all that kind of stuff, and it helped them because they had no idea that, like, all these different things, including if I needed to have surgery, was it possible? So like one of the doctors said, back in medical school, I learned that the eardrum cannot be repaired. It's forever damaged. But that's not true. And so I was able to discover that. And then even having it guide me to ask the right questions of the doctors.
Right.
And it helped me to get the answers that I needed and to get the service that I needed to go from being deaf just over 2 weeks ago to now being able to hear. So, so yeah, again, ChatGPT to me is just another tool. I learn to understand it. I go deep into it. I studied machine learning language and so forth to understand how artificial intelligence works instead of running away. And that's anything else. I want to understand that, whether it's technology or somebody else and so forth. So again, I'm a voracious reader, voracious learner. I'm curious. As the ancient philosophers, I think philosophy in general is about the acquisition of knowledge through curiosity.
Absolutely. And I'll tell you what, I also read a lot. I'm a reader
Good.
as well. And what I find fascinating, Bob, is that you've embraced that knowledge and I always like to call it a toolbox, that you have tools that you put in. The more tools you have in your toolbox are great, but you need to also use those tools. So there's no good to have them all if you don't use them. So that's the action part. But what you've done is taken that and said, okay, I want to have wonderful health. And I won't disclose your age, but boy, you look great. And so health is important and knowledge is important. That keeps our faculties going. But also when you have goals and dreams, you talked about a mindset. And when you have a goal and a dream, that's good. But as you said, it has to come from inside. I always say where the mind goes, the body follows. So you need to have it here and here before you can go further. That's just my opinion, and that's what I've learned from my knowledge of reading. And the philosophers from before absolutely had it right, but we didn't, with all the changes, we didn't keep following it. And I think today it's imperative that people go back and look at the real basics of what humanity is, what mind and body is, psychosomatic, moving forward, where we're going. The AI, honestly, I am with you. I am at Edom with you. The technology is here and it's going to stay. And if you use it properly, it's going to benefit each and every one of us in ways we can't even imagine yet. And so embrace it. Be proud that we've gotten this far and use it to your benefit. Would that be fair?
That would be absolutely fair. I even started thinking into the future
Yeah.
because I'm getting up there in age, and with a lot of cutbacks here in the United States regarding Medicaid and so forth, and cutting back on nursing homes
Yes.
funding. And I foresee a future where we have a robot that has AI. So it'll be a health robot, medical robot that can diagnose any health issues, but also take care of a senior in their home and do everything necessary much better than a nursing home ever will.
I
It,
agree. Did
it'll
you see the new frame that they had for the doctors, Bob, where you're gonna, they showed it, I forget where I saw it, was in China though, and they said you step into this machine, it'll be like a futuristic machine, and it'll tell you what's wrong with you. And literally, you will not see a doctor. It will diagnose from its, I guess, holograms, however it can do it. Then it will have the doctors will actually, unless it's a physical doctor that you need, it's going to be a robot, and it's going to actually tell you what you need and prevent more problems so that you're not in need of these doctors. So you're not in need of these senior homes and you can stay in your home so much longer. And in fact, some of the companions where they've actually proven that these robots may become companions to people because in
Mhm.
their senior years, the young people are busy and it's not that they don't want to be with them. They're just they have lives just as we all did. So the seniors are going to benefit having those companions that are going to be able to help them through those lonely times. Would that make sense?
That makes sense. I was looking at Boston
Mm.
Dynamics' latest version of the robotic technology, which they've now combined with ChatGPT and
Oh,
just
great.
doing amazing things already.
Yeah.
So that's the present. The future is
Yeah.
going to even be much better.
Imagine that. So continue, Bob. Tell us more about because you're doing quite a bit for young people and for you. Do you have courses, Bob, that you're doing?
Yeah, I'm also creating new courses for the Modern Lyceum Academy. And part of it, I'm in development of having like TEDx type talks for it
Oh,
and
wow.
so forth. So all that's coming. And I'm working with other like people who want to teach within there. And I modeled it off of the original Lyceum Academy of Aristotle. So Aristotle just didn't teach philosophy. He also taught a lot of other area, the sciences at that time and so forth. But he also taught athletics, fitness, and martial arts at that time, wrestling
Oh,
and everything like that.
okay. Thank you.
Yeah, what'll see, people have a mistake or misnomer of the ancient philosophers. They picture these philosophers as being weak and so forth, and they weren't. They don't realize that Socrates, at 50 years old, he was fighting in a Peloponnesian War at 50 years old. And Plato, his student, was a very well-known, what would be called champion athlete and wrestler. And Aristotle was also very well athletically fit, and he could fight as well. So we look at philosophers as the robes walking around and doing this kind of stuff, but they weren't that way. So I wanted to bring a lot of that back into it.
Sure.
The ancient Stoics were also very fit. And and because part of my background has been in the martial arts, been in fitness, so I want to bring both men and women in to be part of this. I used to teach women self-defense back in the 80s, and I think women would benefit with having that again. In addition to the philosophy, the wisdom, and everything else, and learning and being able to think critically and so forth. And I see that's missing. So I want to bring a lot of that back into it. A
Bob,
healthy
if
body,
someone,
by the way, creates a healthy mind. Go ahead.
no worries, thank you. If someone's over 50, let's say, Bob, are they able to start with your course? Do you have
Sure, 50, 60, 70, 80, it doesn't really matter.
okay.
I'm also developing a separate part of it for parkour for seniors.
Oh, perfect. Because I was thinking, let's say they haven't been doing a lot and now they're thinking, gee, I better get going here. I wondered if you had like a remedial course or something that they could start an entry level and then move their way up because that's
Move the way
important.
up, even younger people too.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
Yeah, so a lot of younger people, like how many pull-ups do you think the average man in the United States can do?
Pull-ups?
Pull-ups, pulling themselves up.
I'm thinking 10. No? How many? No. Oh, is that right now?
When I say
I'm
average,
gonna have to go try this, Bob.
so when I say averages, so you have to average out everybody that can do pull-ups. Like I do 20 to 30 pull-ups, right?
Oh, okay. I was thinking that it's not as hard as you're saying, but perhaps it is hard.
It's not hard for somebody like me because I've been doing it a long time.
Sure.
I also do plyometric push-ups where I push my whole, not just clapping, but my whole body comes off the ground. So I throw my arms up like this and
Oh
I'm
my God.
exploding up. That's me. I've been doing this a long time.
That's what I wonder too, because you have been and you are in great shape, which is kudos to you, but there's a lot of people who are not in good shape. So I just want to, I guess I want to make sure everybody
So
feels comfortable because they want to be able to be in shape. So,
so the great majority of American men cannot even do one pull-up.
and that's fair then. I
Yeah,
wouldn't know that. What
yeah.
about women? How are we doing
Unless you're fit.
in
I
shape?
had one of my friends years ago and challenged her and I helped to push her to get better. She lives out of Texas and in her 50s, she went from 5 pull-ups to 15 pull-ups.
Oh, wonderful. Now, do you do weight resistant training, things like that as well when you're doing this, or is it all
I do mostly body weight
okay?
calisthenic kind of stuff.
Okay,
Yeah, so I used to do like bodybuilding and powerlifting and all those kind of things. And so while I still do resistance training, but a lot of my resistance come from what I do with my body weight.
sure.
So I do a lot of natural movements or animal movements. I get down on all fours and I'll crawl around, things like that. I'll even run like this across a field, things like
Oh,
that. I do handstand, push-ups. I do leg strengthening exercises,
okay.
starting off like with regular squats. I go deep squats all the way down.
Oh, okay.
Then I'll do pistol squats, which is squats like one leg at a time, things
Wow.
like that. Also practice balance. So here's the thing, as we get older, the reason why older people fall is because their legs are weak.
That's right. That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. So one of the things I will work with seniors on is to help to strengthen their legs. When you get strong legs, that means like stepping off a curb is where most of the falls happen.
Oh,
With
okay. I didn't know that.
yeah. So you have to remember stepping down versus climbing up. Stepping down, all your body weight is going at an accelerated rate. So you're putting
Oh, of
all this
course.
weight, like stepping down onto one leg,
Of course.
and that's very tough. So I will suggest to people strengthen your legs, do squats, but also do wall sits too.
And what, oh, so you sit against the wall with your, in a chair position
In
kind of
a
thing?
chair position. So
Yeah.
that will strengthen your legs.
Oh, very good.
Also, it will strengthen your tendons because it's an isometric hold. So isometric hold exercises strengthen tendons. So even people that are big bodybuilders and they do a lot of weight and everything like that, they don't do a lot of isometric exercises. So they end up having tendon issues. Their tendons don't get stronger. That's one of the
Oh,
reasons. So one of my friends, Michael Margolis, he was also in the Marines like me. He's older, but he does his strongman stuff. Like he'll take horseshoes and bend them, bend wire, all this kind of stuff. He'll
wow.
take a nail, drive it through a wood, everything like that with one hand,
Oh my goodness.
and he's in his 80s.
Oh, I love that. I love
Yeah,
hearing those
he's
stories.
not big, but he's strong. There's a
Right.
difference.
So that's working with the core. Is that the idea that
It's
you're?
also building tendon strength.
So okay, thank you. So if we could circle back, because I agree with you, the legs are the most important. You got to be able to be mobile. And I think when people fall down when they're seniors, they break hips and so forth. So we do want to make sure that they're in good shape. But let's say you're doing that against the wall. How often should people be doing that? Is this a daily routine? Is this a
You could do
like
it daily. You could do it every other day. You could do it twice a day, like that kind of thing.
so
Um,
it's go ahead.
so one of the suggestions I'm going to make, and when you do a wall sit, and this is cheating a little bit, but it's going to help you.
Okay.
Okay, have a cane with you
Oh, okay.
and sit against the wall and just hold it as long as you can. Then go extra. You want to get to the extra point. So like I do 4-minute wall sits, but I would suggest starting off like 15 to 30 seconds because it's hard. Then you
Oh,
can
okay.
work your way up. But you want to challenge yourself just a little bit longer each time you do it.
Okay.
And you may not be able to get back up. So have a cane right there to help push yourself back up.
Oh, that's a good point because okay, I get that. I get that. So you're trying and then you may get stuck. I get that. I totally,
Yeah.
in fact, maybe have a chair beside you that you can reach.
Or
Yeah.
something like
Yeah.
that to help yourself up. But
But again, we're
eventually,
going back to getting started and a progression so that you are stronger. So you don't have to take it all off at once, but
correct.
smaller steps till you get strong enough. So that's smart. Thank you.
Yeah. So doing wall sits are great. They're great for building strength. It also develops core strength as well and tendon strength. Because here's the thing about tendons that personal trainers don't talk about because they don't understand it. You can have the strongest muscles, but the leverage that so tendons are connected to your bones and so the muscles and everything like that. So we all have tendons at the end, but it's a strength of the tendon that will determine your real strength. So there's this guy, he goes around to gyms. His name is Anatoly, and he dresses up as a janitor at the gyms, and he's gone viral. He has this beard and all this kind of stuff. And so he's a small guy, doesn't have big muscles or anything like that. And he'll go and he'll look at these big, burly powerlifters and bodybuilders lifting his heavy weights.
Okay.
And he acts like he's like an ignorant or not janitor. And he goes around cleaning all this kind of stuff. And he cleans around the weights. And then he asks, "Can I try that?" And they look at him, said, "You?" Because he's really skinny and all this kind of stuff. And he says, just maybe just one set. I want to try one set. So these are like, so these guys, these big guys are struggling to do like a deadlift, picking up a weight. So Anatoly comes up and so he looks at it. He says, like, example, he would hit like the weights. Are these fake weights? And they said, no, these are real weights. So he'll go, then he'll go and he'll lift up and he'll do like several reps of these huge weights that these big guys are struggling to do one time. And they look at him in amazement. See, Anatoly, he does a lot of calisthenics. He has also strong tendons
Okay.
and he has very dense muscles. There's a difference between puffed up muscles that look big and dense muscles. You go back 100 years ago, the Bronze Age bodybuilders didn't have these big puffed up muscles, but they were strong. They were lifting heavy weights. They also did a lot of isometric exercises. And so when I say do an isometric hold, you're going to develop tendon strength. So the muscle you do have will actually become stronger because your tendons are getting stronger. And
So,
then when you step off of a curb, you can handle your body weight very easily. Or if you accidentally step down, say that there's like a larger drop, you can slow yourself down because your one leg that's still on a higher will slow down and it'll prevent you from falling. And yeah, so it's very important. Those leg strength, the tendon strength, and everything like that is going to be critical as we get older.
thank you,
And
Bob, for that because a lot of I did not know that, and I've certainly done core Pilates or yoga or whatever, and I walk and do all of those things. But yeah, that's valuable. Thank you so much for
You're
the
welcome.
viewers. That's very valuable. Now, Bob, what is the name of your course and where can we get it?
Yeah, so I'm currently in development. So you
Okay.
can go to bobchoat.com
Okay.
and I will have everything on there, all the different links and everything like that.
Okay, great. Now, from there, Bob, you have given us a fountain of knowledge. If I'm going to put down all of your information in our show notes, if somebody wants to reach out, is that the best place to get you? Or are you like on Facebook, LinkedIn? Is there
You
somewhere
can
better?
contact me across almost all social media channels. I'm across everywhere. I'm on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, X, everywhere.
Perfect.
Threads.
I'll make sure all of your information is here. I have another question for you, Bob. You gave us a whole bunch of knowledge. I just find it fascinating. And there, we've just scratched the surface. Would you mind coming back and doing another episode so that my viewers, if they have questions, can actually ask ahead of time? And then we
Sure,
could do another episode. Would that be all right with you?
absolutely.
Oh, thank you.
It
Because
would be fun. I enjoy this.
I do too. And you've been so gracious. But here's the thing, Bob, you give us a lot of even things that I certainly follow along. I try to stay fit, but certainly not fit like you are. And but I think some people are intimidated to get started, but you've given us a nice, easy entry into something that will help them. So if they have other questions, I truly would like to bring them to you and have you back on the show. And perhaps maybe, dare I say, maybe a regular every now and then. That
Sure,
would
sure. It would be absolutely fun. And I'm a firm believer that given the right information, given the right actions, you can go from where you're at to getting fit. I have friends that one gal, you may have seen her on TV, Ernestine Shepherd, and she was,
oh yeah.
yeah, so she was overweight. Her sister died of cancer, both in her 50s, and she decided that she was going to get fit. And she learned everything she could. She became the world's oldest female bodybuilder in Guinness Book of World Records and still going strong now. I think she's like 90-ish now, something like
I
that.
saw something on this and I'm going to take a look at that too. And I'll maybe connect that here
And
too.
then
I saw
another friend of mine, Wendy Ida, IDA, and she was also in her 40s and she was in an abusive relationship. She was overweight and she decided to end that relationship and to get fit. And so she did. And then she set the Guinness's Book of World Records for burpees in 1 minute at 37 for women. 37 burpees in 1 minute at the age of 60.
Oh, good
She's
job.
now in her 70s. She has her she's ripped, she's strong, and you can find her all over social media and Google her and everything as well, just like Ernestine Shepherd. And those are just two of the examples that, given where you're at, you can get back. You can get even stronger than when you were younger and just keep going at it. Never let age stop you
That's
because
great.
I have a friend who I've been mentoring, young girl, 30, she's 31, but I was talking to her father, and her father was overweight. He was morbidly obese.
Oh,
And I challenged him. I said, I tell you what, because he lives in Covina, California, it's not too
sure.
far away from me. And I said, I'm going to challenge you. In the course of the next year, you're going to get yourself fit. You're going to get fit when afterwards you're going to start training to become a bodybuilder because he always loved it when he was younger. And so he's 60 years old.
Wow.
1 year later, he dropped 80 pounds. He's got muscle and he's looking really amazing.
Oh,
Because
that's fantastic.
so I did challenge. I said I was going to come out there. If you don't do it, I'm going to come out there and kick your booty. So
You probably said something else, but we won't say
yeah,
that. Bob, that's wonderful, honestly. Now, and I know, so do you have people go check with their doctors first before they come on? That's a given, or
yeah, doctors, yeah, make sure,
yeah,
make sure that see where you're at.
yeah,
That, yeah, and I'm glad that you brought that up
yeah,
because that's very important. And you may have to get a couple opinions just in case, like I did with my ears,
yeah.
to find out where you're really at. So just don't go like with the first thing. You want to go deeper and everything. So you want to make sure that your heart and everything, that you don't have any blockages, because your blood pressure may be fine, your cholesterol level may be fine, but you may not be fine. My brother had that same thing, and he's like a year older than you. And at the age of 39, he had his first heart attack. So he's still alive, but it's 7 heart attacks and a stroke.
7 heart attacks and a
He has a pacemaker defibrillator on his left side, and he has another device on his right side that's keeping him going. It's about 15% of heart functioning.
Is he now? Let me ask you something with that. And oh gosh, we hope your brother stays healthy for so long, forever. But let me ask you something. So, if somebody has a heart condition or something, is it possible through fitness and so forth to make the heart stronger? I've heard that when someone has a heart attack, it actually weakens the heart muscle, but can they strengthen it with exercise?
So depending on how much damage, yes, you can strengthen it. Absolutely. And you strengthen the rest of your body as well. So your heart doesn't work as hard. So
Oh, okay.
yeah, so you need to have functioning through your whole body.
That
And
makes
so
sense.
yeah, that's very important.
Yeah,
Also, being physically fit is going to help with your brain in
right.
so many ways. One of the primary ways, because I like to learn and learning new things. And in the brain, in the hippocampus area, which is learning for responsible for learning and memory. So in that area, there's a protein that's produced called brain-derived neurotropic factor. I know it's long, just call it BDNF. So there's an expression, a gene that will express this protein. And BDNF is important for neurogenesis, producing new brain cells. But here's the kicker. How does that get expressed? Fitness, getting fit, when you train, everything like that, exercise helps to express that. So the fitter you are, the more regularly that you train, is going to help with that part. It's going to help you learn. It's one of the reasons, like when you're studying something, get out and do some exercise. So now you're going to have this brain cells coming in that's going to help with that for learning and memory and developing new brain cells through neurogenesis and so forth. Yeah, so it's important. We talk about neuroplasticity, but
Yeah.
neurogenesis is also important as we go through this thing called life. So a lot of things that we need to do. Having a purpose in life will also keep you younger. Have a reason for getting up every morning. I'm half Japanese, by the way, just to let you know.
Okay.
And there's a thing called ikigai. A lot of people have been talking about that, but they get the wrong idea what that is. Ikigai simply means a reason for getting up every morning. And so people in
So
Okinawa are
like
the
a
longest.
raison d'etre.
Yeah, yeah,
Very good. Thank you for that.
you're welcome.
Bob, I appreciate your being on today. You are a fountain of knowledge for people. I always encourage people, whatever it is you're doing, check with your doctors or if you need a professional opinion. And as you said, perhaps get a few. But I would encourage everyone, honestly, to go over to your site, your social media, follow you and see if it isn't a fit for them because wow, you've got a lot of amazing knowledge that you're willing to share with people. And what you give out, you get back in. So that's awesome. Bob, thank you so much today. Everyone, this is Bob Choat. I am just so impressed with the knowledge you have, and you're doing so great. So thank you. I'll make sure all of your information's here, Bob. So thank
You're
you.
very welcome. And I give credit for those that came before me, that taught me, my mentors and people I read and so forth. So they're the real ones. And I'm just a sponge that has absorbed that.
I'm the same way. I love learning. So good for you. Now, to everyone, please go over to Bob's channels. Do you have a YouTube channel, Bob? Just wondered.
I have a YouTube channel. Yeah, I'm across every social media platform that you
Okay.
can imagine. I just, yeah, adopt each one.
I want to make sure if everyone goes to your YouTube channel so they can subscribe to that because that does help you too with content. So make sure you go over to Bob's social media, go over to his YouTube channel and subscribe there and just follow along and maybe perhaps ask some questions. If you'd like to ask me some questions for Bob, I'm going to have him come back on our show. He's promised to do that. And maybe we can do a Q&A as well and be able to help you follow through and Bob will be able to answer all your questions. Thank you for joining Bob and I today. My name is Teresa Aker. I'm with Success Diaries with Teresa Aker. Do subscribe to my channel. I truly appreciate that. I hope you're all having a great day, and I look forward to talking to you all soon. Bye-bye now.